Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome back to Vanguard and Warzone In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the Bren LMG for both games because I kind of have a soft spot for it in both games, and I did want to let you know that I'm increasingly doing better every day, and I did my own work for this video like a big boy exclusive ace, didn't have to hold my hand and carry me through it. Hopefully there'll be more of that in the future. If you want to support me in the creator store, my code is DRIFTOR. That's all caps, O is a 0, and that does make this a sponsored video. But before we jump into the stats, I want to pass it over to today's main sponsor, Gamer Advantage. Today's video is sponsored by Gamer Advantage, which is the company that manufactures these glasses that you see me wearing on basically every single stream, video, recording, and anything ever. I wear these every single day. They are blue light filtering glasses that helps reduce eye strain while I'm gaming. You've seen me review these frames. They're nearly indestructible. You can get them in prescription lenses, and they're having a 10% off for holiday sales at the moment. And I have to take this thing off my face. It is the itchiest, cheapest, like swallowing hairs beard in the world. But Gamer Advantage is having a 10% off holiday sale on all products across the board. And if you use code DRIFTOR, it'll stack another 10% off to get you 20% off of anything on the entire site, which is a massive, massive savings. And I don't think the price is going to be getting any lower until this time next year. So I realize the video comes out on Christmas Eve, but if you end up with a little bit of extra Christmas cash or end up returning a gift and getting some cash and want to get yourself a little something nice to start the new year with, I would highly recommend the Gamer Advantage Horizon frames. These are the clear ones that I wear. You'll see my face on the website. They are tough. They almost can't be destroyed. They come in prescription lenses and they help protect your eyes. So they're what I use literally all the time. Holy mother of God, I can't believe they approved that skit, and I also hope that they approve us for a whole nother year of movie parodies. Only you guys can determine that one. Please do check them out. They're a fantastic sponsor. So let's talk about the Bren LMG. The Bren is a bulky but fun light machine gun that can two-tap people into the Shadow Realm with the right attachments, and that's what we're going to focus on a lot in today's video. But do keep in mind, even if you're not two-tapping, even if you're going for the normal basic 3-shot kill Bren, still kills pretty quickly, still a pretty fun weapon. I do have a soft spot for this one in Warzone too, because it also kills pretty quickly there, but we're going to cover that later in today's episode. So the Bren has a maximum damage range of up to 64 meters. That is a range at which most of you aren't even going to be able to see your enemies very clearly. So I'm going to mostly focus on its maximum damage and not its minimum damage, because only like 1% of gunfights in all of Vanguard are going to be at beyond 64 meters. So you're pretty much always doing your maximum damage. And for the Bren, that base damage maximum is 34 up close, making it a 3-shot to kill, but you can put some attachments on it and take it up to 50 damage, making it one of many 2-tap killers in Call of Duty Vanguard. This one can get a little bit confusing. The very first barrel that you unlock will increase damage and turn it into a 2-shot kill, or later on you can unlock various .50 cal and BMG rounds that are also enough to make it a 2-shot kill. If you equip the high damage barrel and the high damage ammo, the game stats in-game will tell you it'll deal 90 damage per shot. However, this is bugged and false information, or perhaps it's intentionally capped by developers. I tested, it does not deal 90 damage per shot with this combo. I thought that would be hilarious. And it seems to basically set your gun to 50 damage depending on which one you pick, and equipping both of them does nothing but just give you a whole bunch of extra recoil, which is kind of annoying. So I advise picking either one or the other. Personally, I prefer to take the 50 cal ammo because it kicks less, and I'll equip a barrel that reduces recoil. The barrel just kicks way too much. Even if it's a 2-shot kill, you're probably not going to hit 2 shots in a row. It just is kind of outrageous. So my advice to you would be to stick to the ammo for the damage and use the barrels for either fire rate or recoil control or something like that. Speaking of fire rate, it fires at 600 rounds per minute, which, as we talked about with the STG-44, is slow, but it's gonna feel good. Your game runs at 60 FPS. This perfectly syncs with that number, with the refresh rate, with the tick rate of the server, with everything. It's a number that your brain's gonna kind of like. It's a little bit on the slow side of things. It doesn't fire super fast, but I think that most of you are going to be comfortable with that. So we've taken a look at the relatively slow rate of fire and the high damage. When you math those two out, you end up with an incredibly fast time to kill. Just the basic time to kill shooting those 34 damage rounds, which would require 3 shots to kill, is 200 milliseconds, which is very fast in Call of Duty Vanguard and very competitive. Not too many weapons are killing at that speed. However, if you're doing the bonus damage, which is what I think most people are going to gravitate toward, it can kill in 100 milliseconds, which is absurdly, stupidly, outrageously over the top fast, like playing hardcore in any other game level fast, and probably fast enough to where if you're playing on a bad internet connection, the enemies you're shooting are going to think that they're dying instantly when your bullets load in. Both of these numbers are really, really fast, so both of them are going to be good, but between the two, I like the 2-shot time to kill because it feels almost instant. When I'm running this weapon in 2-shot kill mode, it kind of feels like I'm just walking around the map deleting people. As you might expect, the Bren handling stats are pretty slow. The aim down sights time is 440 milliseconds, so almost a whole half second just to aim down sights. And then your sprint out time is about 300 milliseconds, so about 3/10 of a second to sprint out. Both of these are slow. Both of these are things that can get you killed. I don't think there's any way to build a Bren class that's reasonable to make it faster, to make it good at rushing, to make it snappier, because you're going to need a lot of attachments really just designed to maximize your time to kill. When it comes to handling and movement properties, well, it's an LMG. I could read you the numbers, but you should just know that it's slow. You're going to run slow, you're going to ADS slow, strafe slow, sprint slow. Everything you're going to do is going to be slow because you're carrying an 800-pound light machine gun on your shoulder with a magazine the size of, Dwayne Johnson's arms. It's like huge. Bullet velocity is very fast at 930 meters per second. All the LMGs are this way. It's not much faster than assault rifles, but gives you a little bit more wiggle room if you want to do interesting kitting. Reload time for the reload cancels about 3.5 seconds depending on what ammo and mags you run. If you want to go through the full animation, it's about 5 seconds long, which is painfully slow. This is one where you definitely want to get good at the timing and reload cancel as soon as the bullets are in the gun as far as the game is concerned. So now let's talk about recoil on the Bren. The recoil is moderate, but it ends up being pretty low with the right attachments, which we will be recommending later on near the very end of this episode. The basic recoil is something you can control, but will fight and will cause you to miss shots. When you first start equipping some of these attachments that increase your damage, especially the damage increasing barrel, it's going to feel very miserable. The ammo that you have to equip also feels very miserable. So what I end up doing with the Bren is I equip the 50 cal ammo and then basically build the entire gun to minimize recoil, compensators, stock, grips. Every single thing is all about recoil reduction, and when you build a max recoil reduction build, it ends up being pretty low. It ends up being pretty lasery, albeit kind of slow. Because of that, I kind of like treating the Bren as if it is a full auto DMR in Vanguard and just go hammering people with it. If it's a 2-shot kill weapon, and if I hold down my mouse button or trigger button and it fires at 600 rounds per minute, doesn't have a whole lot of recoil, has a whole ton of range, as far as I'm concerned, that's a full auto DMR, and I can just sit back and pepper people and just beat them into the ground all day, and it's a very, very satisfying feeling. It's similarly satisfying in Warzone, where I think it's pretty good. I think it's great ground loot when I'm running around Caldera. I do enjoy picking the Bren up off the ground. It's one of my go-to ground loot weapons. And if you're running it in a loadout, it's a little bit less common. I see a lot of streamers playing around with the bar and the MG42, which I have done as well. But the Bren is pretty interesting. I think it does everything the bar can do, but better. Of note, the gameplay you're seeing right now is not mine. This is gameplay from Niku. Niku is an incredibly talented Warzone player, and I was having a little bit of a rough day, so instead of sitting down to play this for 2 or 3 hours, Niku volunteered to hop on and get the gameplay for me, so thank you to Niku. His channel is linked down there below in the description. So let's talk about the stats in Warzone, and it's a little complicated here. There's a ton of numbers on the screen I'm going to have to read. So headshots are 51 to 45, absurdly high damage. A little bit less for the next shot, 47 to 42. A little bit odd that they're different. Usually they're the same in this game. If you're shooting them anywhere in the chest, that's 37 to 33, so your damage has gone down a little bit. And other regions, such as primarily limbs, is going to be 34 through 30. So you have highly variable damage depending on what range of the body you're shooting people in, but in general, it's quite the high damage weapon. Rate of fire in Warzone is identical to what it is in regular Call of Duty Vanguard at 600 rounds per minute. It seems like they tried to carry over as many stats as they can, but maybe tweak the damage a little bit. So when you take that rate of fire and you combine it with that damage, and we're just assuming just basic body shots here, it has a time to kill of around 700 milliseconds, which is competitive for Vanguard weapons. There are weapons from Black Ops Cold War and Modern Warfare that can kill you faster, but most of the Vanguard weapons have a slower time to kill, and this is competitive for them, so if you're playing Vanguard Royale, this will be a very competitive build. I don't want to expert about the damage changes on the attachments since those haven't been properly tested for Warzone, or all of the attachments and how they change things, but I will say that in my experience with the right build, and this is a subjective one, you can use this in the same way that a lot of streamers are using the MG42 and the bar. It can be a very low recoil and long range suppression monster in Warzone, just kind of like that old Bruin meta from a million years ago where the Growl were just one of these guns you can just lock onto somebody with and laser them at nearly infinite ranges. It does that job very, very well, and it does it exceptionally well if you can mix in a couple of headshots. If you've got good aim, that's probably going to be more of a moderate range thing, but with good aim and mixing in a couple of headshots, this gun has an extremely fast time to kill, but not everybody's able to do that. This situation is a little bit unique because I usually build my classes differently in Vanguard than I do in Warzone, but for this particular gun, I basically built the same class in Warzone and Vanguard. They're focused around being very high damage and very low recoil. I didn't really do anything for handling or ADS or any of these other properties. I just wanted to make sure it's accurate, the recoil is low, and the damage is stupidly high so that I can post up at a long distance and use this to just sort of butcher people that can't really fight back. What you're looking at here at the very end of the episode is my recommended class for Call of Duty Vanguard. It's a pretty simple one, any optics you want. I chose the Saturn lens. The important thing to keep in mind is you're going to want that Queen's Royal barrel, and you're going to want the 50 cal rounds on your gun. I also am going to recommend both the compensator and the Carver foregrip. Those two are very important for controlling your recoil. Outside of that, it's much more optional. It's going to be one of the very few weapons that I'm going to recommend running not suppressed because, well, you just need the extra recoil reduction. This is the Warzone class that Niku is running for the most part. It doesn't take advantage of all the damage boosting barrels and ammos and stuff, kind of like Warzone, but it does focus on the Bren's strength. He's running a suppressor, hand stop, the same Royal barrel, the lighter ammo that kicks less, and then just a whole bunch of stuff to kind of reduce recoil and a long range zoom scope so that you can suppress people at super long ranges. I may have to do an update episode and test out all the different like ammo and barrel combinations here because they do so many different goofy things. But for now, I will say just the basic, normal, everyday, boring Bren without damage boosting, like this one right here, does plenty good work in Warzone, and you won't have to worry about damage boosting anything to be competitive. Guys, that's all for this in-depth episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out. I decided to add a little bonus here at the end of the video. My wife and I had originally planned a very big holiday skit. It was going to be like Satanic Christmas. We already had this evil looking tree made. We were going to pull in Krampus and do all this Christmas horror stuff. And the idea was that we were on the naughty list and we were going to get punished to like a whole nother year of movie parodies. Unfortunately, my skills as a creator when it comes to making short films and comedy skits and stuff like that aren't as good as they are at making gameplay videos. So we filmed some things, we did some test footage, we played around with the script, and ultimately it was just something that wasn't like working. It wasn't very fun or funny. It just came across very weird. So instead of uploading something bad, I decided to scrap it, and we're going to bump that idea to 2022. Hopefully in 2022, at least once a month, I'm going to be uploading a film parody for Gamer Advantage, and hopefully it's going to be really fun.